Hello and welcome to another edition of the Orlando Soccer Show, episode 6 of this new era. I am your host, Kyle Foley, alongside Brad Green.
Ahoy.
Gavin Eubank.
Hello, hello.
And esteemed former elite-level goalkeeper, Brent Peckus.
Hello.
Folks, Orlando City was off this week, did not play. We did get 2 games from the Orlando Pride. First, just want to note, we did not do a preview for the Orlando Pride against Gotham game. There was just some scheduling conflicts, and I was traveling. So it was a little difficult. We weren't able to do it, but we will be back to doing those consistently for the upcoming games. Let's get into the games from this last week. First, on Wednesday, the Pride went to Chicago, or the Chicago area, to take on the Chicago Red Stars, as we call them here, and they won. Huge victory, finally getting more than one goal. There's a big talk about, will they finally get a breakthrough? Will there be an opportunity for this team to make the most of all its chances? And they did for their first win of the season. So we'll start with that game. Brent, what did you see from that where we finally got to see the offense hitting at the levels that we felt were possible?
Yeah, I think, you kind of nailed it in the pregame, that our predictions and such, you kind of thought they were going to come out and just come out flying. And that's exactly what they did. They kind of looked uncharacteristically good for the first 15 minutes. They got a quick goal, and then they kind of just ran away from it. They were really in control of this game from the beginning. Banda gets her goal. It was good to see that. Ovalle, and then Anderson off the corner. It was a good, full, and complete victory for them. Exactly what you expect from a team that is going to compete for the top. So a lot of great things to see from there. Stadium didn't bother them. They pretty much dominated that game from opening kickoff on.
I think it was probably Ovalle's best game in purple. Is that fair to say?
I would agree. That goal was goal of the week. Meant top, just the way that she flicked and backheeled that thing in there. Probably the best we've seen her play. I think Banda looked good. Even the back line looked good. Like, you could tell that they were a little bit more organized than they were normally. So it's like one of those games where you just say it's exactly what you expect a team. Go on the road, get 3 points, look convincing, take advantage of turnovers. I mean, exactly what you hope that the rest of the season is going to look like.
Now, how much of that was just Chicago not being very good? Like, I'm looking at their games. They lost 4-0 to Angel City to start the season. They somehow beat Kansas 2-1. And then it was 3-0 to Orlando, and then over the weekend lost 2-0 to San Diego. So they've allowed 10 goals, which is the worst in the league. They've only scored 2, which is only second from worst in the league. So how much of that was Orlando figuring things out, and how much of that was just Chicago is in a really rough spot right now?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? Their first goal was unforced error. Lemos gets the ball and then immediately plays the ball forward, and the turnover by Chicago causes Lemos to get the ball, finds Banda, and it's 13 minutes in, it's 1-0, and you can just kind of felt it was going to be Orlando's night. There was a lot of unforced errors. I mean, when you give up a set piece goal on a corner kick to the back post, it really should be something that you do. So it's I would say 70-30, 70% Chicago, a lot of unforced errors, and 30% of just Orlando finally clicking. We've kind of seen it the first few matches. Like, they had the opportunities, they had the chances to find goals. They weren't able to. This was a game where when they got the opportunity, when they were gifted opportunities, they found a way and they found goals.
Kind of underrated headline from that game, something we've talked about at least behind the scenes. Marta made her return, didn't play for long. Definitely looked like it's been a while since she's played. I'll open the floor to anyone, though. Having her back is obviously vital for the Pride. How long do we think it's going to take for her to get to the point where she's back to starting games?
Well, she didn't really do anything in preseason, did she?
No, she was there at a couple things, but not fully participating. I think there was a lot of, will she come back? Will she not? I know the common kind of consensus is just that when you're that old, and I don't mean that, it sounds so much worse than that I mean it, but when you are 40 years old, you need more time to recover in the offseason, and you maybe don't need to go through a grueling preseason in a squad that up top hasn't really changed. So she was given some time off and was allowed to kind of take her time coming back. Obviously, we were questioning kind of the way things are going for the Pride the first couple games. You're like, oh, you need a player like her because she might finish some of those chances or at least add another threat. But yeah, she was not entirely absent from preseason, but mostly absent.
I mean, I think just from a pure like fitting it with the team standpoint, obviously she probably has nowhere to go in terms of like coming back. I mean, it definitely depends on what kind of work she was doing to get back to 90 minutes fit. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw her worked in the next few weeks and then slowly build up her minutes.
Who does she replace? Brent, I'll go to you on that one. Who does she replace in the lineup, though?
Yeah, that's
That's tough route, right? Right, Brad? Like,
yeah, I mean, you saw her come on for Jacquie in this last match, but I think with her finding her form, I mean, Jacquie had some. I mean, I said in the start of the season that first game against Seattle that she's gonna get into form a little bit more, and she's not gonna miss some of those opportunities like she did against Seattle. And then I mean, we saw it against Chicago. Obviously, this match against Gotham's a little different. Got Emily Sonnet on the back line and Jessica Carter back there as well. So that's definitely going to limit the opportunity for a lot of chances there on offense. I mean, Gotham's back line is really good. So I don't know if Marta getting her first minutes of the season would have really contributed all that much to begin with. Who she replaces in the lineup, though? I mean, Washington, maybe.
I mean, I think maybe the better question is, does she have to replace someone, and do you continue on? I mean, not that the Pride have been playing electric since the start. I mean, obviously this game was like kind of the jump start, but if things are starting to go well, I mean, it's kind of like a good problem to have is like, well, I don't have to put Marta in, but I have her on the bench, and that's another way to scare teams.
This is a good chance for the Pride to prove that they don't need her to start the majority of games.
That too.
She still needs to get to match fitness to where she can actually contribute late in these games. But if you have a Marta that's going to come in and give you, 25, 30 minutes of her best playing, situationally, there might be some games where you don't need it. There might be a game like the game against Chicago where you're up 3-0 and it's a cameo appearance. Like, I think it's good for the team when you can have a superstar who is no longer what she used to be, and you're not asking her to be that. You're now asking her to take a step back. Now, the other thing is, obviously, is she willing to take a role like that? Throughout her career, she's been super vocal about wanting to play, and even the year when they won the championship after the unbeaten streak and after clinching the 1 seed, they decided to rotate. Like, she was visibly not happy about limited playing time. 2 years have gone by. I get it. So things might be a little different, but she doesn't strike me as a player that's totally happy with being on the bench. I think the obvious answer is to come on for a player like Soleil Washington or even an Ali Lemos. But yeah, I like to Gavin's point. Do you need her to start? Well, not every game.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just part of her makeup as one of the a tough competitor like Marta, one of the greatest ever lace them up. You're not gonna have an easy time pulling them off the field, getting them out of there. I really think I mean, Marta is one of those people that I think is going to play until the wheels fall off, really. And I mean, you're starting to see a little bit of it, but I mean, I don't think she's at the point now where we really need to start thinking, well, maybe Marta super sub. I think she still has that quality, and until she doesn't, I don't see why we should be thinking about her in that capacity. I mean, she's still one of the best contributors in the league as far as scoring goes. So I think until she demonstrates that maybe that isn't part of her game, that we just let her keep doing that at her pace. I think it's going to take a few matches for her to integrate back into the squad and get fully fit, but I think we're still a little bit ahead of already setting up a testimonial match for her.
No, I think that's fair. I think it's just one of those, you kind of have to consider the way the team has been playing, the way things go. Obviously, I think if she was match fit and able to play, 70, 80, even 90 minutes in any of those opening games, I think easily those first 2 games could have changed to wins. She does still have the ability to contribute at a high level. And what we've seen from her in these 2 little cameo appearances hasn't been alarming. It's not like it's been like, oh, she doesn't have it anymore. It's been, oh, that's a player who hasn't really had a preseason. So I think that's a good thing when somebody with her experience and at her age is able to come in, and the only real hesitation is just how long is it going to take for her to get up to full fitness. The older you get, the harder that is. But she's been around the game for so long, and she's been good for so long that it's not. Go ahead.
If we follow the math, she came in the 82nd minute against Chicago, 80th minute against Gotham, 78th minute against Angel FC, right?
It's not a bad idea.
Just give her 2 minutes at a time until she's finally 90 minutes fit.
I think Kyle's got it more on the head of. I think she's going to be the super sub this year, unless they really they lose a playmaker. If your team is clicking as a manager, do you really want to change that dynamic? And I get it, one of the greatest of all time. But that role can change, because what if someone does get injured mid-season? You've now banked those minutes that she's rested, and then she can go the full 90 when you actually truly may need it in this long season. So I know there's going to be eagerness to see that, and I've not been once right about predicting her minutes and when she's going to play and when she's not. So whatever I say is right out the window, and who knows? But I really like her as a super sub, an up, bring energy if the team needs a lift type of thing. It'll be interesting to see how especially this Friday, what happens.
No, and that was my thought process on this. Listen, she is still the type of player that can be in your starting lineup and should be in your starting lineup and be a key player in that. I just think winning a game in April is not as important as winning a game in October or November. And so the idea of, at least initially, you're in no rush to bring her back. You start her when it makes sense. So when you have a tougher matchup or you have a game where she's well suited for it, but you don't need to start her every game. She doesn't need to be the first or second name on the team sheet. And then as you get into the later parts of the season, obviously injuries are a huge factor in the NWSL and just in soccer in general. I think you just kind of ease her in, and then you kind of keep her as the not so secret weapon. And then when it's time for the push at the end of the year to get up in the standings and to make a playoff run, that's when you have her on the field for as much as possible, and she'll have more in her legs to give versus if they try to play her too much now.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be healthy towards the end stretch there. So, I mean, I'm sure that they'll monitor her and make the best decision about what her availability is going to be like throughout the year. It basically comes down to how fit she comes in, and how she feels as the season goes on.
We will move on quickly just to the second game. We've alluded to it a little bit. There was a 0-0 match against Gotham FC. It was not a great soccer game. This was very much a team of two sides that A, are pretty evenly matched, but B, were pretty exhausted. Gotham has been surprisingly mediocre this season, but I suppose the same could be said of Orlando. But Gotham has only scored 1 goal in 4 games and also only allowed 2. So it's not a real surprise that we got an Inspector Brad special, a 0-0 draw where everybody goes home unhappy. Although I will say, I do think Orlando goes home. Listen, you got 2 clean sheets on the road. Brent, we talked about a lot in the beginning of the season after those first 2 games. Like, yeah, the team needs to be scoring goals, but also the defensive partnerships need to get better. I think Haley Mace has been one of the best players on the field for Orlando, especially since the second half of the Seattle game, has really, really improved. Her partnership with Rafael has gotten better. Like, there's been a lot of real growth. How encouraging, and there's not a ton to take away from that 0-0, but how encouraging was the defensive performance?
Yeah, the defensive performance in 2 clean sheets was good. Like, I think that was the takeaway that you need to have from this match is they only allowed, I think, 2 shots on goal, and both those shots were from distance. So what you really need to take away is, like, we have not seen Mace and that back line look connected and look together, and you could really you really did see that. I mean, they minimized their opportunities. They were Gotham was really never dangerous in this game. There was never a point where we really thought that they were going to, find a way to win the game. And so it was almost like we were waiting for Banda to get that one goal that we always talked about. But, it was kind of just that boring, like both teams looked tired and fatigued. And, with the Pride's current roster situation and just they don't have they have a lot of people that will come in and out, but you could tell that the fatigue was there after, 2 games and, 4 days. It was really just one of those games where you just like, all right, we're on the road, back-to-back road games. We need to get out of here with a draw. And I think they're going to be happy with that. I think that's the takeaway is they look great defensively. There was never really a danger from Gotham.
Yeah, I agreed. It's hard when they're playing these games, these midweek games, to try to make up for lost time over the World Cup break in June. But 2 straight clean sheets is a good way to build some momentum before coming back home. All right, moving on. Orlando City might be off, but some of its players are active with their national teams. We have a couple players to catch up on real quick. Marko Pasalic played 79 minutes for Croatia in a 2-1 victory against Colombia in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. He had the assist on the game winner. Was arguably the man of the match. I think most people would have felt that he had a very good game overall for a very good side, which was good for him. Might get another chance to play against Brazil here on Tuesday in that last friendly. But the bigger game, the bigger storyline right now for Orlando City and its international players is with Canada and the goalkeeping situation. So Dane St. Clair was given the start against Iceland, and within 21 minutes, the Canadians were down 2-0. Did manage to get 2 second-half penalties to come back, but Dane St. Clair, probably the worst player on the pitch. Does this open up a chance for Maxime Crépeau to step in and maybe take over the number 1 shirt before the World Cup?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to get the start against Tunisia. So, although Jesse Marsh is not saying outright that he's going to make wholesale changes, overall, I think it's an opportunity for Crépeau to seize the opportunity.
Now, how important is it for Orlando City to have a goalkeeper that's playing? He's been decent this season for Orlando. Not entirely been at fault for a lot of the bad performances, minus the red card in New York City. Is him building his way back into being the starter for Canada, is that going to help him? The obvious assumption is it's going to help him in Orlando, too, with boosting the confidence, right?
You would think.
Yeah, you would hope so, right? The more opportunities to play, the more times you get to compete, the better off you are, especially if you take over that position. There's a certain... you're the number 1 for your national team. That carries over. So I think if you see him have a good match, at the end of the international break, if he does play like it's being reported on social media, I think you may see that carry over in Orlando. I mean, we saw 90 minutes, a game and a half worth of great goalkeeping from him. So it'll be interesting. Sometimes this is what happens. The goalkeepers go on international break. They go on their international team. They play. And they gain the confidence back. So maybe that will happen for Crépeau.
And I think it's such a different situation than when Pedro Gallese was here, where he is the starter for Peru. Like, he's not losing that spot. So I think that doesn't have so much of an effect, other than just more games might keep you sharper. But I think for this, when you're going into a really tough, people were asking about this goalkeeping battle in the offseason. When Dane St. Clair went to Miami and Maxime Crépeau coming here to Orlando, people were questioning, what does this mean for the World Cup? Which I think was a bit ridiculous to be asking in preseason for MLS, but it is indicative of the fact that this is a genuine goalkeeper battle. Probably, it's not the only position battle going on for Canada going into the World Cup, but definitely the most important one. And if he can win that job going into the World Cup and perform well, that only has to benefit Orlando City. We'll be talking plenty more about Canada for the World Cup during the World Cup break. We'll be focusing, obviously, on all of the Orlando City players that are involved, or former Orlando City players, in the case of someone like perhaps an Alex Freeman, which, speaking of, the U.S. men's national team did play. Allegedly, for the first 45 minutes, it was a fantastic game. It was 1-1, very hard fought. It was a very, very interesting game. In the first half, decent performance by the United States. Obviously, Belgium can be a tough side to play against, even if they're not in their kind of golden era anymore. But then the wheels fell off pretty early in the second half. I did think it was interesting when Portugal's head coach, Roberto Martinez, was asked about what that game kind of says about the U.S. He said the 5-2 scoreline is not a fair scoreline. Like, that doesn't give the full picture of what happened in the match, which is valid, and that he sees the U.S. as a team with a clear identity, and he doesn't make much of March games in general. I have always been a proponent of the only thing you can really take away from friendlies is individual performances and team identity, but that the results don't really matter. But even with that philosophy, this second half was a disaster for the United States.
I would say all of that is true had they not come out and played like a completely different style than was what was actually leading to some success last year. So it's like, yeah, you can say they have an identity or whatnot, but they're not even consistent in how they play. So I don't know how much of that's true.
You know, we were just talking about like goalkeeper confidence and what getting more minutes with their club might do for a guy. What do we make of Matt Turner going from New England Revolution, moving to Arsenal, that not working out, going to Nottingham Forest, that not working out, going out to Crystal Palace on loan, them not really committing to him, going to Lyon, then Lyon loading into the Revolution and him looking like liquid shit for the Revolution and now looking bad for the U.S. men's national team.
I think this has to be what guarantees that Matt Freese is between the sticks for the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's correct. Matt Turner has been
Matt Turner is
dog water.
Cooked.
I wouldn't even take him.
Say the least.
Wouldn't select him on the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are your three goalkeepers in the team?
Matt Freese, I take Zach Steppen, and
Schultz.
Yeah, Schultz or oh gosh, yeah, no, Schultz. That's who I take. I take Zach Steffen.
Just for the experience, like get a veteran player. That's fair.
And I think he's good at penalty kicks. And I think not that Freese isn't, but I think
But
I think that's an option.
No, that's fair.
We know that. Turner's probably going to be on the roster anyways.
I don't know. What do you gain by taking him?
Familiarity, I guess. I don't know.
I think if you're gonna pick an experienced player between him and Steffen, I think you are getting more experience from more recent experience from Zach Steffen at least. I don't know. I mean, it's close, but I think you're probably better off. Like, Zach Steffen only has 30 appearances for the U.S. men's national team. Matt Turner is 53. It's a pretty significant amount of games difference. So I don't know. I think I hear what you're saying. I think Zach Steffen is probably the better option right now. But I like Brad said, Matt Turner is going to the World Cup, barring an injury or a complete collapse at club level. And then it's really just a matter of, for your third choice, what younger goalkeeper are you bringing to be a part of the tournament and be around the environment? But I don't think it's Matt Freese's job to lose.
I would agree. I just think Zach Steffen brings better passing. He can pass the ball. He's better with his feet. I know that it's going to be Turner, and I think if this performance should rule him out. He doesn't bring anything. He doesn't bring value to your team if you take him. I think Steffen, at least, he brings more to the table. I won't be shocked if it happened, though. I won't be shocked. It should happen, but I won't be shocked.
Was there anyone for any of you guys in this game? I know it was not a great game, but was there anyone that stood out to you guys? I think for me, it was Weston McKennie. I know there was the comment about like Juventus is just a bunch of Weston McKennies. Like, that man does everything. I think he really solidified that he has to start in the World Cup. But otherwise, it's a lot of questions about Christian Pulisic. Gio Reyna not getting minutes at club level looking bad. Is anyone that stood out, I guess, either positive or negative outside of the goalkeeper situation where you're just like, this player either has to be there or should not under any circumstance be there?
It's hard to say stood out because I feel like the big thing in the game is just that there was a lot of individual guys making mistakes, leading to all these Belgium goals. I mean, it was just across the board, just not a great performance. I mean, I'm not even convinced that like Pochettino's the right man. I've never been convinced that he's the right man to lead this, but that's the
Same.
most worrying thing to me is that this is just not a guy who, by the way, insists that he is still he's open to staying on as coach after the World Cup. Which, like, come on, we all know that that's
No,
whether it's your
we're good.
choice or not is not happening. But no, I don't. I just feel like there's not a lot of confidence both internally and externally for this team right now. And I mean, the injuries don't help, especially when you've got a couple of your important center backs injured and not available for these ones. Or I guess Chris Richards is available for the game against Portugal, but what is it? Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Robinson ruled out with an injury as well. So I mean, it's not. Like you said, I don't think the results themselves matter. Like, I'm not looking at the scoreline, but when you just see how this team is playing 2-3 months out from the World Cup, it's concerning to say the least.
Yeah. I think Belgium exposed the United States how they were bringing their outside backs up. And then when that happened, like they were just, I think it was a Doku from Belgium, was just exposing him on the side. Both of the goals early on were off of that. I think this is a lot of also the formation, the setup didn't work well.
Yeah.
And, Ream looked slow. He looked behind the play, and I'm sure he will be going to the World Cup. But, man, there's a lot of questions in the back line. There's a lot of questions going into this World Cup. It's a little scary if you're rooting for the U.S. men's national team. That game did not bring much comfort. We'll see what happens against Portugal. I'm sure it'll get better, right?
Depends how they line
I
up.
think it's just funny because like we all assume that Portugal game is not going to go well, and we're recording this on Monday. This episode will come out Tuesday morning. We could all be sitting here Tuesday night, and the U.S. puts on a display like they did against Uruguay and like absolutely smashes them, and then we just sit here like we've kind of been in the whole Pochettino era of just like, what is this team? We have no clue what team. Listen, there have been moments where I agree with Gavin. There's not been a consistent identity, but there have been moments where you look at this team and you go, that is a good soccer team that played good soccer. And there are other moments where you're like, what in God's name am I watching? I guess the upside to a World Cup is you don't have to have that years-long consistency. It's just put it together for a couple games. But yeah, because I don't know. I think we all sit here after watching that and we go like, yeah, they're going to lose to Portugal. At the same time, if you told me they won 3-0, I would be like, okay, yeah, I could see that happening. I don't think it's likely, but I could see that happening.
Just saying, get a Spurs manager, get Spurs results.
Yeah. I mean, it
The
definitely.
United States getting relegated from the World Cup.
Quite a feat when you're hosting it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, getting knocked out in the group stage, which I don't even remember who they're playing. They have an easier group, right? So they should get out, but getting knocked out in the group stage would be the least surprising thing at this point.
Yeah, the group stage is Paraguay, Australia, and then the winner of European playoff
okay.
C. So them getting group staged would be near impossible, not completely, but it would be very difficult. But after that, it becomes much tougher. So we will have more on the World Cup and on the international stuff as it gets closer, because obviously both club teams will be on a break, and we're going to want to talk about some sort of soccer. So we'll be following Canada and the U.S. and maybe another team or two. We'll see as we get closer. So with that, though, we'll move on from the soccer talk into the absolute best parts of the show. Lads, what's your weird news?
Succulent Chinese meal speech added to Australia's National Film and Sound Archive. Folks, if you've ever heard the words, look what I'm under, gentlemen. This is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock over here. See that chap over? Get your hand off my penis. This bloke is the man who got me on the penis before. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Well, that's a nice headlock, sir. Oh, yes, I see you know your judo well. Good one. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis? How dare... Get your hands off me. Ta-ta and farewell. That is now a part of the National Archive, National Collection of Sound Recordings that hold historical and cultural aesthetic significance in Australia. That sound recorded 35 years ago when Jack Carlson was hauled into a police car outside of a Chinese restaurant in Queensland. Carlson has since passed away, but that is now one of the historical, cultural, and aesthetic significant sounds of Australia.
Probably one of the, if not the most well-known Australian sound bites nowadays, I would say.
That and whatever things Bluey says.
Yeah.
Also true.
Also true.
I slipped on my beans, I think is one of the big things there.
Yeah. Very good. Very
It's a
good.
banger.
I got one. We all know Erling Haaland. You aware of him? Yeah.
Vaguely.
I believe I've
of
heard of him.
Manchester City, who will soon to be get deducted 40 points or so. He has decided to invest in a chess tournament with a $2.7 million prize. So he's become an investor in a new chess world championship. So I thought that was an interesting thing. He says that he loves chess. It's an incredible game. It sharpens your mind. There's a lot of similarities to football. And you have to think quickly, trust your instincts, and think several moves ahead. Strategy and planning are everything. So he's very excited. He's hoping to meet, Magnus Carlsen. But he also talked about how Pep and Salah both play chess. So that's why he's investing. He's investing into the Norway chess. Thought that was a weird story.
Now, Magnus Carlsen, is he not the one that had a sex toy charged with butt during a tournament?
No, he was playing against the guy who was doing that.
All right. I remember that was on Weird News that we covered once before.
Yes, it was.
I believe his thing was like, there's no way this man beat me. He must have something up his butt. I'm sure it was more complicated than that, but
It's basically the gist of
I'd
it.
like to
Okay.
believe that's how
All
the
right.
story went.
I agree.
Yeah.
I had seen a headline that it could be up to 60 points, which hopefully if they do that and they deduct it from Manchester City, I would rather they do it after the season so that Tottenham can go down. But if you guys had to pick between Tottenham or Manchester City going down this year, who would you choose?
Tottenham.
It's Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
City
easily.
would find a way back up immediately. Like they've got the blood money.
Yeah.
Tottenham does not, and I think they would be cursed for all of eternity.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Spurs have they're paying 4 managers. There's a real opportunity that they could get double demoted. There's their wage bill. There's no way they can sustain that on a championship like budget. They're likely it's likely they could be like Leicester City.
So I'm going to paint you 2 scenarios here then. Which do we think happens first? Tottenham gets relegated. They go through a season where they run afoul of the EFL financial fair play or the profitability and sustainability, and then they get deducted enough points to knock them into League One. So this would take a minimum of a year and a half. Or Manchester City finally gets docked points for the 115 plus charges. What happens first?
Spurs good. Spurs again.
I think the sun explodes and eats up the entire universe.
Until anything actually happens to Man City, I still don't believe anything's gonna happen to Man City until those points are actually deducted or whatever adverse.
I think they get
decision.
deducted during the World
even
Cup.
when they do, we'll probably see years of appeals on that until
Yeah.
something actually
They-
comes to a
that
resolution.
news will come out during the World Cup. That's what
Yeah,
will happen.
probably.
World Cup final, balls about to be kicked off.
Yep.
Manchester City
gotta
hit
bury
with
that.
60-point deduction.
They'll
It's the
bury
new
that.
A-Rod opting out of his contract in the middle of the World Series, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, that's how we get Pep Guardiola to Orlando City just in time to come back from the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean Spurs are
Right,
owned by a investment company, a British investment company, not a oil company. So I think you're getting a little bit of difference there in terms of who's likelier to be okay after that decision gets dropped.
It's true. All right, Gavin, you got any weird news for us today?
I do not have anything this week.
All right, I will drop our final one then. Nestle says 413,793 Kit Kat candy bars were stolen en route from Italy to Poland. It is about 12 tons of candy bars. That is an insane. I mean, it looks like it was just like a vehicle that went missing, but that is an insane amount of candy bars to have. And I just want to imagine that there is an upcoming black market in Europe of like children in schools selling Kit Kats. Like, I don't know if you guys ever like knew anyone who did this, but there were always like kids in school who would like, they would have like snacks or like candies or whatever. They'd be like, oh, you know, I got this for $1 or whatever. Like, I'm just imagining that happening, but it's this ring of kids that hijacked an 18-wheeler and took all of these Kit Kats.
Just fell off the truck this morning. How many do you need?
I do actually have one more bit of weird news just to make up for Gavin not having any.
Okay.
A stripper on TikTok right now is going viral because of her location and proximity to a few U.S. military bases. And she says military members are just coming in. They're kind of sad right now. And they're all just spending a lot of money and they're telling her, yeah, we're deploying. So basically, 2009 me's I started twitching when I started to watch this TikTok of her describing what people are just telling her right now, and like the sheer scope of, oh God, this is bad. That's really bad. That the troops right now are so depressed that they're just basically telling sex workers exactly what's about to start happening.
What a time to be alive.
And not bode well for the future. I love, personally, that we're reliving all of the years of my childhood. Pokemon is super popular again, and we're back in unnecessary wars in the Middle East. It's lovely. Just waiting for the inevitable market crash soon as the AI bubble bursts. On that note, we'll move in to our red cards or playing advantage. Anybody got anything for us this week?
Sure do. My red cards with U.S. Soccer.
Ooh,
Perpetual.
For putting out 2 jerseys in a game that you're sanctioning in the Stars and Stripes and the Belgium jersey, where they make the game almost unwatchable to the point where it's just embarrassing for a U.S. soccer sanctioned, FIFA sanctioned game to continue, and all the excuses about Belgium didn't have their other kit with them and X and Y. I'm sorry, that is just unbelievable that we had to watch a game that
they
it
said
was
the
horrible.
The U.S. had their alternate jerseys like back at the hotel, but nobody could go and get them in time. Like,
Absolute
I know
baloney.
traffic is
Like,
bad.
That's such
but
so
if you-
bad. Such a bad
Yeah.
take. Such a bad take.
That's a
I mean, it was
fair-
just that was horrible. Like, absolute red card, 2-game ban. Like, unbelievable. Just terrible. That's my red card.
Tell us how you
I-
really feel.
I'll give a playing advantage to Project Hail Mary. Solid in theaters today, very good. Big Ryan Gosling fan. Excited to see him in Star Wars next year. See how that goes off. I have never read the book, but I'm going to assume it was probably like it. But it was a good movie. Good time. And then as far as a red card is concerned, I'm going to give it to the director of the Egyptian national team, Ibrahim Hassan. He cautioned Mohamed Salah, who, famous Liverpool legend, he's leaving the club at the end of the season, so Salah has not announced where he's going to go next after his 9-year spell at Liverpool. But Hassan has warned him not to go to Major League Soccer because he will be forgotten if he comes over here. I think his exact quote was, I won't remember Salah any more than I remember Messi, and I don't even try to watch him. So his suggestion was that he should go play in Saudi Arabia if he can't get any offers from European clubs, because that would be great, considering that since Ronaldo is over there. Famous guy who we all constantly hear so much about how he's doing in Saudi Arabia. So red card for that. Bullshit. Definitely come to America. He will not be forgotten here. That's for sure.
I'd love to see him do it on like a warm-ish rainy night in San Jose. Meet Bruce Arena and Mohamed Salah together.
What would be the obvious choice should he come to Major League Soccer, if that were even a thing? Because I mean, I haven't seen
LA
anything like actually.
It's
Nashville.
It's San
LAFC.
Diego.
Nashville.
Oh, San Diego?
So San Diego has links to him, I believe. Like,
Okay.
it's always kind of been reported. So I think that's probably, there's a fit there. There's a I won't say a need, because I don't think San Diego really has a lot of needs, but like I think that's a good fit. I think the other clubs they'd have to make some big moves on key players. Not that they wouldn't for someone like that, but San Diego definitely seems like an easier shot. Although, of course, again, he's going to San Jose, or the real sicko in me, Sporting Kansas City.
He'll end up in Atlanta or somewhere.
I feel like NYCFC, especially with that new stadium opening up, that could be a good one.
I was
That'd
saying
be
LAFC just because, of course, that's kind of how things work out.
I think a front three of him, Son, and Belongo would be a joy to watch for sure.
Yeah, legendary.
All right, Brad, what do you got for us?
I'm playing advantage to the big Archburger. Fellas, are we back? Are we back? I just gotta say, man, what a burger. I wanted to include this on the show the other day, and I'm sad I missed out on it. But just an incredible food stuff there by McDonald's. Big shouts out to you guys. The guy at the window there was telling me, was asking me at first if I ever had one before. And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, just watch out, man. It's a big burger. I couldn't even finish it. I wanted to just put my hand on his shoulder and be like, buddy, we are not the same. I easily finished it. First off, not a problem here. I'm built different, I guess. It's got a different bun. It's got a little poppy seed on there to go with the sesame seed. There's the sauce. There's the crispy onions. The what is it? It's like a white cheddar, I guess, that's in there or something like that. That's what that's supposed to be. I don't know. It's all good. Probably one of the best fast food burgers that's come out recently. I'm not a huge pickle guy. I just pick mine off. But yeah, no. Playing advantage to the big arch burger, McDonald's, you've done it again. We're so back. Red card this week. I had one and then I forgot about it. Dr. Robbie Rabinovich, I'm on to you, bud. Red card to you.
Good one. Very good one. I approve.
No spoilers. I've not watched it yet, but I'm very interested to see. All right, I guess I'll drop mine. I'll play advantage to love. I'm often called a hater. It's fair. This past weekend, I was in DC for a friend's wedding. My good friend Benjamin Sendon, who's used to work with, and he's now in the Marine Corps in the Commandant's Own band, trumpet player there. If you ever get to check them out, they are phenomenal. He got married over the weekend. Got to see him and his lovely bride Savannah. It was just it was a happy time, you know. Also, open bar, and anytime a wedding has one of those, it's automatically goated. So, you know, love is in the air in DC. The cherry blossoms were out. It was a nice time. But I'm gonna give a red card to, and it is related to that, I-95. And specifically, the people who drive on I-95.
Amen, brother.
So
brave of you to call out traffic on 95.
Specifically, the Richmond to DC stretch of I-95, literal hell on earth.
Not even the worst part of my experience. The worst part was in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, where everyone decided when you see construction equipment, it means come to a complete and total stop on the interstate. I spent about an hour and 45 minutes in the 11-hour trip. What should have been an 11-hour trip, I should say, at a complete standstill on I-95. And then when I got up to where traffic started going again, was there spilled construction equipment on the road? Was there a truck that had pulled out? Was there a police officer at a car accident? No, there was nothing. There was no active construction going on even. It was just people stopped for no reason multiple times at various points in the day that didn't even line up with each other. It was infuriating. People don't know how to drive. I was really enjoying the part of the road trip where it was just like open roads, only a handful of cars, a state trooper that I immediately slammed on my brakes when I saw.
Cowards.
As soon as I got to those areas of traffic, miserable. I did, however, make up for it by stopping twice at Buc-ee's on my way back. Enjoyed a nice brisket sandwich, some pecans. They satiated both my hunger and my anger. So I guess I can also play advantage to Buc-ee's.
I got a man of the match too.
Kyle
A
going to
man
town.
of
Man
the
of the match.
A
This
man of the
guy's
match,
creating acolytes on the spot.
Yes.
Oh my
Man of the
God.
match.
First time ever.
I have caught up on SNL. And I think Kyle, you know where I'm going to go with this. Man of the
Like
match.
all 51
choice.
years?
Bold
No.
choice.
Yeah.
For
yeah. Wait,
In
hold
this
on.
season,
What?
this season of SNL.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm like,
Jeremy
are you
Colhane.
binge watching all the seasons?
Jeremy Colhane.
Go ahead.
Man of the match.
Obviously,
this,
Oh.
this
goat.
season. His Tucker Carlson is spot on. I know I'm a few weeks behind on that, but
What are we doing?
going back and
What's
watching
going on?
his contribution in some of these skits, man of the match. He's a rising star.
Mm-hmm.
If you are listening to this and you have not ever watched any dropout.tv content, I recommend doing it because it's incredible. That's where I was first introduced to him, doing Game Changer and Make Some Noise and the different things on there. He has an episode of Very Important People, which is this show where they put these actors in makeup without like showing them what they're going to look like, and they come out looking like something, and they have to improv a character on the spot for an interview. His one that he did this season was hands down one of the funniest things I have ever watched. Go get a subscription to Dropout TV. Give them your money. Help support them. They are incredible. They do incredible work. And now they've got a dude on SNL. But yeah, I concur. I would also give him man of the match. He's incredible.
I'll keep this quick because we're getting close to running long. But Brent, I'm glad you brought that up because I'll give a red card to people who think it is. There's a very specific, I mean, like, obviously a lot of people, the common thing is like SNL is not funny anymore. And it was funny for that one specific time when you were 18 to 24, which is its demographic. And then once you grow out of it, it's not funny. But I'm glad you brought that up because especially among like leftists and people who have like high opinionated takes of themselves and what is funny, a lot of people think it's corny to like SNL, but I do find a lot of the bits funny. There are a lot of stinkers, and that is the case across all 51 years of this show. But I do also watch the clips on YouTube every week, and there are plenty of standouts, and it's worth a good laugh or two every week.
And Weekend Update remains funny. Also, SNL UK is quite good. With that, we will wrap it up there. Appreciate you all for joining me today, and for those of you who are listening, thank you so much. We'll be back later this week with our previews for both the Orlando Pride and Orlando City as they return back from the international break. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. The Connor Story episode was kind of weak.